Oh my goodness. Seriously, I have to just do it. It's like I can tell myself I don't have to think about things that don't matter.
I was designed to do those things. How the hell does this guy know this about me?
It's impossible to not see.
When Dan read for my sister, she was like, he's psychic. She's like, how did you know that?
Yes.
She's like, it's human design, guys. Like, it's just a testimony of how legit it is.
Seriously, Danny was like FBI or CIA. He's like, how the hell does this guy know this about me?
Having my chart read, there were just thing after thing after thing that I was just like, wow, that's me.
This man is reading me and I've never met him before.
I was in the midst of one of the biggest emotional waves I've ever been in my life, and he saved my life.
It seems like everybody has the same reaction. It's that aha moment, and they want to find out more. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of the Human Design Advantage podcast, our Wednesday night series. I'm your co-host, Jen, and decoding the matrix for us is Danny Guru. Hey, Dan.
Jen, it's good to see you. Happy Wednesday to you.
Happy Wednesday to you, too.
Mm-hmm.
It's been a very good day for me. How about you?
Oh, today was just fine. It's Marin's, got some things, got to look at Tom's chart, and developed a flight path for us, for Tom.
Fantastic.
I'm the missus, Gisele.
I can't wait for you to dive into tonight's chart. For those of you who are watching and listening, today is October 12th, and tonight we're going to be doing Tom Brady and is it Gisele? It's
Gisele. Gisele Bundchen.
Yes, we're going to do their chart because they seem to be in the headlines recently as getting a divorce. And I'm kind of curious of diving into their chart because I've heard, I know she does a lot of, she's really big on mindset. So I want to see how that kind of plays out in her theme.
It's going to play out very interestingly. Tonight I have a soft touch for these two. They've been together apparently for a lot. Did you read up any on them? I did. They've been together.
No, I didn't have a chance.
They got a couple kids. They sort of started to grow this way, and a lot of it had to do with he said he would quit and then he didn't quit, and his life is football, and so I can see that. I can sort of see that, but there's other stuff going on underneath the surface. We'll dig into.
I can't wait to dive in. So before we do that, guys, please make sure you like, subscribe, and follow the show. We hit 7,500 views today.
No way.
Yes, I am so excited about that. We are so grateful for you guys. I got to thinking about it. So I feel we're right at like 325 followers on our YouTube right now. So I think that we should do like a special giveaway when we get to 500 subscribers and probably over 10,000 views. We're going to do something a little special. So if you know anybody who would like this channel, who would benefit from this information, please invite them to go ahead and follow and share the information out. Just a couple announcements before we dive into tonight's episode, because guys, this does help us monetize this channel. If you have not already booked your session with Dan, the link to do that, you can either go to the tinyurl.com/HDA links, LINKS. That will give you, it's, where all our links are placed. You'll be able to find the one to book with him. Or you can check the comments. There's the link in there for easy
It'll show up right
access.
on my phone, Jen. And if I could just say, if you do put your phone number in there, that would be pretty gee whiz, because I can start texting you thereafter to make sure we're on the right track and just ask a thing, or it helps make it personal. So do put your phone number in when you book.
Yes, Dan likes to have the communication that way, and it does help benefit you through your reading. So a good point. Make sure that you do fill that out. If you are not sure of where to start or anything like that, I do want to say this. I haven't added it to the website, but it will be added in the next couple of days. Book a what did you call it last night? A
Well, it's just a free
consultation.
onboarding, a consultation, an initial look-see. 10, 15, 20 minutes. There'll be no clock running. We'll look into why you're going to want to do this.
Yes. So that's absolutely free for you guys. If you don't know where to get started, reach out, send a DM, check the link that I just said, the tiny URL, because it will be added to that. Okay. Because we really want to make sure that you guys are helped and you get down to the core of who you are and you start on this journey of human design. With that said, to help you on this journey with human design, we have a 5-day virtual retreat coming up at the end of this month. It does start on the 24th through the 28th. It's a pretty big event. Every day we're going to be doing a certain thing. I'm going to be focusing on how to balance the 4 key areas of your life: spiritual, mental, physical, and emotional. And then day 5, we're going to wrap it all in with human design and how to integrate that information. And anybody who's ever been on any of my workshops, I do not hold back. Dan's going to be joining me on this one. So we're going to have a lot of information to help you balance, because it's going to be much, much needed in the days to come. So don't miss out on that. It's absolutely free for you. The replays will be available till the end of November, and then I will be taking it down. It's got like over 6 hours of information coming to you guys. So it is jam-packed with a lot of stuff. So make sure you sign up for that. Me and Dan also have a mindfulness. We have 2 different mindfulness things going on. We're going to be doing a whole masterclass on how to mindfully eat according to your design. I know eating by your design is something that we haven't really talked about, but it's going to just... We will. This course is going to skim the surface of human design. It's basically going to show you how to find that information. If you want to go further, then we'll do something separate. But this is really to get you in the habit of mindfully eating. And that has nothing to do with counting calories or exercising or anything like that. It's really building a relationship with your food and much, much, much more. It's very beneficial. So look into that. And then also, as part of your deconditioning and going through the whole process and really wanting to help you, we do have a coaching package. It's 8 calls for you to integrate or learn how to use mindfulness and human design together. So definitely check the website for that. And yeah, I think that's all that we really have going on right now. So
let's pull up Mr. Senor Tom Brady.
All right. With that said, we're going to dive into Tom Brady. And guys, the link is already in the description. If you want to download the PDF and follow along, it's already up in there.
So we're looking at something we don't see a lot of. Very first thing, point your attention to is this man's profile. He's a 4-1. That's the only juxtaposition profile. This profile is neither transpersonal nor personal destiny. Like, it's neither self-absorbed nor absorbed out there. It's literally in between. It's a fixed joint in between how the incarnation crosses and how the profiles move up the ladder before they start over again. I realize that's a little complicated, but this profile stands alone as opposed to all the other ones.
Interesting.
The 4th line. So things we know about the 4th line, it's always friendly. So Tom's friendly. Nobody doesn't think Tom's basically friendly. The 4th line has got a bonding strategy that must have a confidant. So as we get on to his wife, Gisele, we're going to find both of them likely were a confidant to each other. Other things about this 4th line is that harmony. He will bring harmony to whatever team he is on. If he's the captain, he can't help it. He's designed to basically find ways to befriend, network, find the opportunity to be influential. This is his life's path. And he had the serendipity to have it followed out. He's having problems in his marriage. It looks like they're going to split up, supposedly, but one never knows at the very end. I hope we tagged him in this. I don't know if we can tag these guys in these things. That would be really great. But other
I
things,
think I did, but I can go back and tag tag
it's
tag them
probably a good
again.
idea because we're talking about them. So what's in Tom's chart? So again, the fourth line, friendliness, all of that, he can't help but to basically find the opportunity to be influential and network and
He's got a lot of 4s and 1s.
Yep, and bring a team together. And waiting for the opportunity is the generator's way, because waiting to respond is their way, and that's where he got his opportunity. He had been waiting for about a year while Drew Bledsoe was playing football. I remember this transition. I remember when he took over for quarterback the very first time. I remember the game, in fact, as it's coincidentally, and Drew was a little pissed, and it just, and it was like I felt bad for him, and I was wondering, who is this Brady guy? And he killed it. He killed it. Why? Because that first line underneath. So here's the opportunist, basically sitting there waiting, and just they'll wait. They'll wait for however long it takes. If there's an opportunity there, they'll wait. They'll wait. He waited his whole life. Tom, it's freezing cold. You're going to freeze to death. I'm waiting. If that opportunity is still dangling there like a carrot, and it was, and he waited for his investigation to suddenly come through. So he had been practicing and practicing and practicing, and nobody quite knew, because think about it. The first line is very introspective. It's not really going to share all of its studies. You're a transpersonal being, Jen. You don't even share all your studies until you studied. First line is introspective. It holds back. It blends in until it's...
I really don't like to share anything until I have confirmed it for myself.
Right. All first lines in any profile will absolutely have that attribute. And if they try and rush that along, they get a little nervous about it,
I'm laughing. I had a really interesting talk with Savannah today about personalities and things that we do, especially like with the business building, and that is one of it. So yes,
yeah. And here I come along.
Out of mind insanity.
That's funny. Yeah, it's true. It's true. And juxtaposed to me, I'll try and start anything potentially, without knowing if I have a foundation or not. It's sort of funny that
not
way.
You.
Yep. Well,
you put pressure on my hope and root.
Yeah. We balance each other, Jen. We all do. So that's this profile. This profile can't help but to do that. Juxtaposition crosses are always named after the gate that is in their personality sun, 33.4. 33 is retreat. It's the gate of privacy, or Jean-Luc Picard would say, privacy. 33 is off of the bottom of the throat center. It's pointing at the G center. It's gate number 33, just to the right, sort of a little bit. Do you see it there?
Oh, sorry. I was...
That's okay. The throat center.
Yes, right here.
Right there. So there's his incarnation cross personality sun. This is the gate that's in the experiential process that finally tells the story. This is the gate that says, I remember. It's the gate that remembers. It's always pulling back for what it remembered to find its to find its opportunity to put what it remembers out into the world and be the prodigal. So he was designed to basically go away, be the prodigal, move forward, and come back and tell the story of how to win 6 Super Bowl rings. And he would tell that story to his team, and they would get it. And check out this. I'm gonna read it. 33 line 4, retreat, the gate of privacy. Active withdrawal for the purpose of transformation, transforming a weak position into a strength, waiting on the bench into a strength. I mean, he lived it out. This cat lucked out, man. Somewhere along the line, he was himself. And I always go back to this. When you sort of just hop into showing up as yourself, it's like, what was up with his parents? I'm always wondering, those first 5-10 years in the person's life, there's something worked out for him. It's the lack of turmoil in retreat. That's his driving force, the sun that comes in. It's this healthy retreat. It retreats for a generation. So it says the underlying faith that in resurrection it'll turn, and retreat will turn into the opportunity for renewal, regeneration, and victory. No one ran back as good as he did. He'd get that ball and he'd put 15 yards between him and the line, quick. It's just, this is somebody who will always find a way to basically take this and put it into a direction. So look on the left-hand side, you see 33 and 19 on the right-hand side, gathering the resources to approach the retreat, the successful retreat and victory. So that's on one side, the resources to approach the successful retreat, then renewal. So that's Tom. Every play was a retreat and a renewal. Every game was, every season has been a retreat and a renewal for this man. Every one. Reapproaching with his, and he can't help it. Notice he keeps in it. He's 44, 5 years old. Dude, he's going to get broken in half. I want him to quit. It's like, dude.
Yeah, I know.
Dude, we all love you too much. Nobody wants to be the audience watching you get broken in half because you're too old, potentially, you know. Anyways, but there he is, gathering 19, his resources that will retreat and then reapproach to victory. And that's a direction for him, because look on the left-hand side. Gate 2 and Gate 1, that's part of the cross of the Sphinx. The Sphinx is about humanity's direction. Past, present, future. Empowered direction, generated empowered direction to take your love and move it in a direction that is aesthetically beautiful to you. And the more beauty, the better the direction. And that beauty is in the eyes of the beholder, period. And we all know what ugly looks like when our direction looks ugly and not so good. So it's the opposite of that. And that's what we're here doing. And so he can't help but to move in a direction. The second line empowers the direction. Look at this, the second gate off the bottom of the G center. You see it's unconscious in him. And look, it's pointing right at the sacral with a defined sacral. That's awaiting its sacral juice, and it's getting it through the channel of rhythm right next to it. It doesn't matter that 14's not there. There's plenty of 14s in his team, on his life, around him.
Yeah.
There's 14s in the world, and he's got an active sacral up that same sort of power column. So his rhythm is his sacral energy is going to sustain that direction. And look, gate number 1 right above it, at the top of the G center. This is the most creative gate in the body graph. This is called creation, the gate of our own internal masterful creativity. It's individual. It's our uniqueness expressed. It's the bubbling up of what our uniqueness is going to be, either in action being contributed or in expression being contributed. But it's so uniquely us. This is the gate that has to have a different number. This is the gate that has to, if everyone's wearing a suit and a tie, this gate wants to wear a bow tie, because it needs to be unique. It's the unique expression that is so abundant, it surpasses any limitation, and it's basically creation without limitation. That's what this is. It doesn't know that there's a limitation to its creation, and it's unconscious in him. He doesn't know there's a limitation, so he keeps trying to find it through the act of approach and retreat. He keeps trying to find his limitation. That's why I went through all of this. This incarnation cross on this fixed juxtaposition tells a big fat story. He constantly retreats and reapproaches to basically find the limitation of where his crazy ass direction might go. He can't stop. He can stop. But he's been swept away because it's unconscious in him. And every time he goes to stop, he feels this. Now, if we were able to sit down and ask him some generator questions, we'd start to get to the bottom, and he'd find a beautiful path through his breaking marriage and the rest of his football career. Or shall we say, they'd have the possibility to find their path through their breaking marriage and the rest of Tom's, wherever it is, football career. You know, it would just be a thing. So, but they ran into this whole issue. What else about Tom? So that's his incarnation cross, this juxtaposition of retreat. Retreat isn't like run away, like like they said on the Monty Python, just run away. No, it's
Right.
run away and get the hell back. Run away and come back. You should know this is leaving this juxtaposition just left the cross of the 4 ways, which is literally all 4 ways of humanity, and it's moving those 4 ways into our direction. This is moving into the cross of the Sphinx, the cross of direction, and it's moving into it in a very powerful individual, spot, basically. So anyways, That's what this is moving into, and it's a juxtaposition between the two. So let's go into why his design is just so uniquely him. So he's a generator, right? Like a tennis player, hit the ball, hit the ball, hit the ball, hit the ball, and him throw the ball, throw the ball, throw the ball, run the play, run the play.
Right.
Generator. Hey, you
Fitting when I
tired yet?
saw
Yeah, I'm
that.
tired, but we're almost done. Run the play, run the play, run the play. That's Tom. He's always ready to run the next play. Why? He's got the channel of rhythm from 15 up to from 15 down to 5. This is a tantric channel. He brings the tantra of rhythm into the team. Every time he gets into the huddle, everyone's like, "What's up, Cap?" You know, because he brings that rhythm into the huddle. That's why his team always seems to get into a rhythm around him. They never get like, it's so rare they get squished in a game because they've got a natural rhythm. Their leader, their captain, has a rhythm. All they got to do is fall into it, and it's magnetic. This channel is extra magnetic. It is a magnetic channel that is designed to literally pull everything in. This is the one channel that causes a human being's aura to be double and triple wide, and the healthier it is, the wider. And that's literally true, measurably. That's the thing. It's also the channel that is one unique thing to all life. Every cell on the planet at least has 15.5, at least. In its design. It's the design of the beginning of life, and it's fixed patterns in gate 5. Generated. I'm a generator. Run the play, run the play, which play? The fixed patterns play. I got into a groove, I investigated, and now my fixed ass ways in my line 4 are going to externalize my fixed ways. We're doing it this way. And he keeps leading them into the rhythm of facing 15, gate 15, the extremes. The fixed patterns withstand the extremes, and that creates a rhythm like welding two pieces of steel together. They don't normally go together, but suddenly they're stuck in the quantum that is these two gates coming together when they're defined in a body graph. And look, they're black, so he's aware of it.
Yeah.
Don't worry, coach, I'll bring him into a rhythm. He knows. And so boom, there you go. Look at his arrows. They're mostly all right. The one arrow that's facing left is the brain system, the top left. So he's got an active brain, and that's what the coach sees. So this guy takes in all the plays. Hey, did you read the playbook? Yeah, 52 times. I got them all memorized. You know, and then his openness just reads the field. As soon as the play starts, he doesn't know. If he thinks he tries to know, that's when he doesn't do well. And I've watched him play many times.
Yeah, he just got to let it flow in.
The channel of rhythm allows the flow to move through the extremes, through the filter of its fixed patterns into survival as a generated function, meaning always busy with the energy to do it. The energy for life generates this. And then he's got that other channel on the left that Savannah wrote, the coolest little thing.
Yeah.
One last thing about all the rest of it. He's born for a team. This man's middle name is give me a team. He's a split definition. Generator has to wait to respond. Fourth line personality, which is incredibly fixed on its own trip, what its thing is, and it wants to talk about it. And now he's got a team that he can speak endless number of plays to and make practice for 20 hours a day and keep talking. It's a dream job. You know what I mean? It's like...
Yeah, it's fitting for his design.
It's fitting for his design. Well, other channel. So over on the left, you'll see, so Savannah made this awesome graphic. So it's the energy for enthusiasm is what this channel does. And on his body graph, yeah, it's a 48 and 16. The channel of talent. Tom is loaded with talent. Some of it's
natural talent.
Natural talent, yeah. So natural, creative, talented. I can't read these words; they're too small.
Energy and enthusiasm for depth, naturally created and talented. Diligence to perfect.
Yeah, stop there. Diligence to perfect. That's that. When I saw that Savannah writes such good stuff, this is a good one because that's exactly what he's got. Again, fixed trip, focused on one thing, and a diligence to perfect. Gate 16 is a boundless enthusiasm that once it identifies something, it will manifest it. It will practice it over and over and over. It's our human proclivity to do something over and over and over and over again because we can't help it. Run the play, run the play, run the play. It's perfect for him. In fact, he made it happen. He didn't find a good coach, although she did find a good coach, 2 of them. But good coaches found him. He's the Lennon and McCartney of whatever team he gets onto. Not that others aren't, but that he is, you know. And 48 is the well. The well is so alluring, Jennifer, because the well builds up this depth over time, and he's got lots of open receptors on his defined receptors on his spleen. He's got a 57 that's looking into tomorrow, a 44 that's looking over the past, and a 32 that doesn't want to fail. What a knockout combination that is. I don't want to fail, so I'm taking in the future and the past, and I don't want to fail, and I have depth. As that depth builds up from this incoming information on his spleen, tomorrow, yesterday, don't fail. Tomorrow, yesterday, don't fail. It's a little motor going back and forth. If he's been listening to the spleen, which undoubtedly he has, you know what it's like, Jen. It's an immediate hit. Safe or not safe, good or not good, worth repeating or not worth repeating.
Yes. And the more you tune into it, it over time, you do start to recognize it, you know?
Is this one of those spots where we need the bell? Because I've just been on a total rant for I don't know how long. I lost track. Remember, we need to splash water on everyone's face, apparently, because sometimes I put them to sleep. Yeah. Wake up.
I wish I had. I'll look for a sound like that. But
yeah, we gotta get a honk honk. 48 is depth, and the thing about this,
we could have done the football thing.
Yeah, right. Yeah,
done the noise.
Yeah, one of them football themes that would have been funny. But 48 is this incredible splenic depth that becomes so aware of what a good pattern is that's going to be deep and worth repeating, that's good for everybody. It's about being shared. Both of his channels are in the logical collective circuitry. He needs to share his rhythm. He needs to share his talent, and he needs to share his depth and his inexhaustible diligence to perfect. It's in the sacral tantric channel that is the uniqueness of all of life. It is the single cell all the way up to the human being. This thing pumps, man. It never stops until he falls asleep, of course. And then it starts again the next day. So that well wants. It does. It gets bitter if it's not recognized. He's got a share of bitterness going on in the background. I don't want to quit. My depth keeps growing. I'm smarter and smarter. I know I can. As his body gets older and older. If his wife knew this, and if he knew this, they could have a conversation around this very topic. Just a matter of fact, loving conversation. Listen, I think they're both fourth lines. I know she's likely a fourth line, possibly a fifth line. I can't quite tell, but I know he's a fourth line. Their whole relationship would have been one of deep trust, just deep trust all the way around, a deepness to want to trust. So he's holding on to his depth. He doesn't want to let it go because he's aware that depth keeps growing. To him, he's just aware that I'm keep getting better, but my body is getting older. And each time he figures, I probably got one more season left in me. Much of that is the work of all of this busy throat action, this constant repetition he's had of retreat and approach. Now it's like, now it's like a rhythm. He's formatted. His life is formatted this way. Why wouldn't he want to keep doing it? He's a fourth line.
Well, and I'm pretty sure there's a moment going through his head. He's got an open head center, so he's thinking about things that don't matter. But it's always one season, but my uncle, he never retired really because he didn't know what to do after his job. Right.
When you become so identified, this channel of talent might as well be called the channel of identification.
It's his whole identity. Like, what is he going to do? I mean, when he's not winning a Super Bowl.
This channel very much is also that the channel of identification. What that person becomes identified with can easily become a really deep worn groove you don't know how to get out of. And
pretty sure he's thinking about all sorts of things that don't really matter around.
Don't matter, keeping him stuck in it.
Yeah.
He's probably thinking about, how do I get out of this groove? Well, if all your arrows are pointing right and you're a generator and someone doesn't come up and start asking you questions as your friend, as your wife maybe, you're not going to know. You're going to start thinking about too many things, and your open head is going to be very fretful that you think you have the right opinion, gate 17, but it's not being listened to and it might get challenged. So he can't say it. If he says it, it's the wrong timing. And so he's not certain about any of that. And it feels like chaos and he keeps returning to it. He keeps returning to it, gate 24, and none of it matters. And he can't be certain. And that's just a little mental mind, mind job that's going on. That's not him. And it only has to go on for a few minutes. Maybe he shakes it off, goes out and runs another play. Good generator. That's a great way to shake something off. Go run your body. But in the times where he can't do that, or the times where he's stuck by himself and that starts happening, he gets stuck in that rut for potentially hours. Now he needs to know that's something, so that, again, the other person can come along and see, oh, you're stuck in this rut for a couple hours. Can I ask you? And start asking questions.
He's got an open ego, too. He's got nothing to prove.
And yet look at the gate that's on there.
I saw that. The 51?
Yep. So the 51 is the love of wanting to shock.
Yep.
Just he wants to leap. I'll leap. I need to leap. There's a warrior in me. I got to prove it. He's actually got nothing to prove, yet he's spending his life making sure he can prove it. That's the not self-talk of the open ego. And gate 40 says, I love to work. So it's conditioned every time he's in the group. He starts wanting to work. He starts to want to find where will his love of work be. And it's a theme that's, it's handy, but it's not him.
That's probably why he doesn't want to retire, because what is his identity after he retires?
Well, especially if he doesn't prove it.
Well, okay.
Unworthy. He feels unworthy. When he gets home to his wife, there's times where he feels unworthy.
Well, yeah. It makes sense now, because I don't see Tom Brady doing Allstate commercials or, what Peyton Manning's doing and all this other stuff. I don't see him doing that to supplement their lifestyle. He may be having an identity crisis, because who is he going to be after he retires from football?
Yep. Look at that friendly fourth line smile. You will always see that smile on this man's face, essentially, unless you catch him with his 33 inside view retreat face. He just doesn't show that very often. It's there deeply and profoundly. Gisele knows it. So this is a design of a man who's basically got the perfect rhythm to bring his talent into an incredibly aware situation and run real good plays. But he gets caught up on the expectations that run through his throat center, because he's got so much action going on there, and the split in his body graph that really just wants to be everything that he can't be. He wants to be the contribution. Gate 8 bridges his split. He wants to be the contribution. Gate 10 bridges his split. He wants to love himself and prove how much he loves himself with the contribution he's making. And he doesn't want to give that up. I was keynoting the open gates that would bridge his split.
Mm-hmm.
And gate 13, so he's not sure if he remembers enough. I need to collect a little more memory, because I want to say it. I want to say it. He wants to say what he remembers. But 13 is the memory. It's the collection of all the stories. He wants to collect more stories because he thinks he has to. He doesn't. So last thing is just all the open centers. So open head, open ajna, thinking about things that don't matter to your right now, causing confusion and uncertainty that you think is a problem. No problem with uncertainty here, but he doesn't know that yet. Open ego, open solar plex, avoiding the confrontation of certain things. He hasn't talked it out with his wife. He tried to, but it's always confrontational. He doesn't know. He doesn't know how to deal with it. Totally open. No gates. So sometimes he deals with it when he's in the right swing. Sometimes he can't. Mostly he's afraid of it because he's not sure what his value really is. And then under pressure, the root under pressure to approach with resources. So what's he doing? He's always showing back up with another big fat bonus check. You know what I mean? He brings the resources. And there's lots of resources got brought through him and through her. And but if those resources aren't needed, he's under pressure to hurry to try and find more so that he doesn't lose the love that he'll feel unworthy if he doesn't have, thinking about things that don't matter, totally uncertain of who he will be when it's all over. So that's part of Tom's head trip that goes along with all of this. And again, if we could get this on tape to those two, if I got them both on the phone, I would go back and forth. I'd be like, well, Gisele, Tom can't help this. Oh, Tom, Gisele, she can't help this. And you guys can learn to laugh at this. I have seen people at their throats after I deal with them as couples learn to sort of chuckle at a few of the things when suddenly the weight and the bricks came off and all the fodder and dust got pulled away and they realized I don't even want to put more energy into that. And this guy I don't even know is calling it out and we're stuck. Oh my God, it's funny. It's sort of,
It is funny.
some of these things can be funny, Jen. We've laughed.
Yeah, we have laughed.
You and I have laughed our asses off more than once. Isn't it awesome? I love that.
Well, especially when you start to recognize that it is just part of the design and you are most likely acting out of your not self theme, having a reaction. And there are ways that we can definitely help with that because laughter really does transmute it. It helps transmute the entire situation. So
Laughter is a great big deal. It brings us present and wipes away all the things that don't matter.
yes.
And that cascades back into everything else that's actually lining up, at least for the moment that you're laughing. Can't get around that. That's actually one of the cool things about laughter. It's like CPR. It's a form of CPR. Let's move over to Miss Gisele. So, I watch this girl. I've watched. I don't. There's nothing about her I don't really like. After having watched her, those guys kept their lives private and kept their children close. Other than that, I can't render a single. I don't see anything on them that makes me want to point to this or point to that. What was the last couple we did? We did Johnny Depp and Amber Heard. Someone was a gold digger in that one.
Yeah, and we even did Bill Clinton and Hillary Clinton.
Oh God, that was a match made straight in hell. It was beautiful. Yep. And so, but this
Literally,
this is a beautiful match made right here on Earth, sometime after Adam and Eve, like right around.
I
now.
saw that they fill in each other nicely.
They really do.
And they have two open centers still in the head.
Yep, they have the two, and that's been part of their problem. But he brings the G center. He brings the G center and the spleen and the throat, and together they make an ego because he's got a 44 to her 26. And notice both times a day she's got that 26 twice, 26 off the ego, and he's got the 44. So that makes the channel of surrender. This is a powerful ego being that can deliver the message and put its shoulder to the wheel. Together, these two felt powerful. Whichever design it was, together these two felt powerful. They just plain felt, she felt powerful. That's for dang sure. And he felt in love. Look at that channel of intimacy she has. She broke down his barrier. This guy who needed to be friends before, and he needed to find a confidant. He molded a confidant out of her, and she molded a man out of him. Those two guys formatted each other, and she was so sexy to him. He would be like, again, if I could talk to him a little bit, in case he had stupid, clumsy man love language, you know what I mean? He'd be like, dude, so sometimes, Gisele doesn't, how do you say stuff? Okay, well, sometimes she doesn't want to hear it quite that way. Just because you're fixed and will externalize and your mouth is going to have to talk, sometimes you don't need to talk. Because that's a thing for him. He'll keep talking. And sometimes she's emotional. She doesn't want to hear it.
Yeah, I saw that she was the emotional one.
Right. And either way, she's got that second line as her personality profile, whether she's the 2-4 or the 2-5. She's got that second line personality profile. So she's a hermit. She's like, you know what? You're talking too much. Hey, you just pulled me off my groove. Blah, blah, blah. So here's where I ran into an issue. I saw 5 p.m. And when I pulled up her chart, I was like, wait a minute, 4 p.m. is like, it puts these two in resonance. If she's a 2-5, then Bill's 4-1, Tom's 4-1 and her 2-5, there's no resonance in any of those lines. That's a profile that has nothing but friction, and it sort of doesn't match up with their relationship, or they had an amazing serendipity to have sort of just gotten through it. He just figured out how to let her be a hermit sometimes, and she figured out how to let him not be able to shut up.
Well, if he was traveling for football, she could be a hermit many times.
See, that would be a thing. So, okay, so that brings in that 2-5 more possibly. The reason the 2-5 is so attractive is because she's so attractive. She's got a whole career on her attractiveness. At one point, she is essentially about the highest paid model ever.
Yeah,
For something, and I don't even really remember the name. But now, like, every time I look at her, I realize I've seen her in many things. But regardless,
she's a Victoria's Secrets model.
Yep, stuff like that. And so that fifth line is very attractive. And I noticed she was not out in public all that much. That fifth line would easily stay out of the public eye after it got enough attention on its photo shoots for Victoria's Secret. It's done. I made enough money. Don't put your protection on me right now. Yeah, I've done enough. And get back with her kids, and just back into the hermit mode of just finding your own little groove, and that's your own little shtick, and it doesn't matter what it is because it's perfect. And she's got a load of right-facing arrows at either time. Maybe she's got the same variable at both times. So she's got a busy body. That's what that lower left-hand arrow pointing left does. That's just your environment. She's the busy one in the environment. So Tom had a right-facing arrow. Tom was observed in his environment. Notice he puts himself right in the pocket as the quarterback. Everyone has to observe Tom. That's what it is. It's the observed. If you're living out your design, you get to be the observed. You get to be the observer of the whole play. That's what he was. She is the observed ED, the observed. So people are observing her. She's a design to be open and receptive to being out and being observed. And that was what her job was. Her job was open and receptiveness. So basically, whatever they called out of her, she's a generator too. When she was out on her shoots, she was perfect at it. Busy, out. They were all, hey, Gisele, no, you're here. Everyone wants to say something to Gisele because she's the one being observed.
Yeah. Well, she's going to naturally draw that attention to her if she's the 2-5.
Yep. So I'm not sure which one noticed the other one, but I like to play guesses. So in case they watch this, because sometimes it's a clue if I get it right, but my guess is that she may have been observing him, but he observed her first. I mean, he basically made the first observation to do whatever it was that came next. For him, it would have been the very first handshake. He made the observation to go up and shake her hand, somehow, way, shape, or form. The polite hug, the whatever it was, the handshake. Yeah. That's a typical fourth line thing. All day long. And so she's emotional. She is now sick of something, and she's been through her wave. She's getting clear. She doesn't want something. However, look at all this openness. She's plagued now by the fact that Tom's filled in all of this stuff for her. Some of her just wants to peel away, and look at the individual definition. 2 sacral definitions. The channel of mating and intimacy, a design to break down barriers, create union, and make babies. A design to be the emotional source wave that can control an empire. This source wave is something that is part of the control function of all empire, has this source wave. So
what channel is that?
59.6, the channel of intimacy. All empire has this as one of its foundational, basically, corners that slices through what the emotional clarity needs to be to create the empire. This wave is a slicer. It makes things happen. And not like the ego does with the mighty roar. It just makes things happen energetically. It can't help it. And it will come back with its emotional wave and have something to say when it's not there. Sooner or later, she would blow up at certain things. And she would hate it. Because look, part of it's unconscious. She didn't even know that it was coming sometimes. And she wouldn't like that, but blow up she would. And then there is her channel of mutation. So she's a design of feeling stuck. And she's got 52 in her body graph. Both times, that 52 off the root center. These are the things that I keyed in on. That 52 off of the root center was, she's hungry to start stuff. It's a hunger to start. She had a hunger for a feeling to start something. Her gate 30 and her gate 53 was made feelings get hungry to want to start something new. When Tom's old fixed trip couldn't change with her, she wanted to start something new. Now, she doesn't know why she wants to start something new. She's going to find, as soon as she finds something new, guess what she's going to find? A pile of same old, same old.
Yeah.
Until she wakes up into her nature. It's just from one crash into the next. Even if it feels like it's a little better somehow or other, there's all this stuff inside that ends up happening. So here was my big definer about 2-4 or 2-5.
Okay.
On the 2-5, there's no resonance in the profile. This will create disharmony over time. Plus 2 open centers, that they would be always have work to do. They would always have work to do. So there was a sense that either design, they always had work to do. They was designed that mentally speaking, they weren't sure they were always in the same direction on the same path, and there was always 7 and 2 work to do. Hey, I'm thinking this, I'm not thinking that. There was disagreements about the things they would feel or want to be certain of and feel pressure to have inspiration over and return to and think about. There was pressure there, noise in the signal, so to speak.
Okay.
And then when she's a 2-4, gate 15 in her body graph coming off of the G center, open G center, looking for love and direction, wanting it. And Tom was the beautiful tantra for that love and direction. That's a compromise. He's got the whole channel 15-5.
Yeah.
And when you go over to her, it's their biggest compromise. She's got just the 15 in an open center. So her love of extremes and her love of humanity and the love of herself inside the humanity and however all that was going to go for her was compromised by Tom's fixed patterns. Tom's extreme nature is what got lived out, not hers. Now, going into this, had someone been able to tell them, hey, there's moments where it'll feel like this. Come up with your coping strategies. It's not your fault. And don't think it's going to be any better in somebody else. I don't want that gate in my next boyfriend. Okay, whatever you say. Don't worry, you'll have some other ones. Trust me. Everyone's got gates, honey. Sir, Mister. So she's designed to have loved so deeply is the thing, and now she's trying to basically rebuild it all. She's the one calling the end to it, essentially. Even if somehow or other Tom is the one that blows up here and there and says, fine, and walks out and then comes running back and then walks out and then comes running back. Whatever it is, it's Tom's the one that less wants out than Gisele. And so if I could tell Gisele, hey, Tom, as it relates to Tom's talent, you may have become clearer, but you've got all this stuff. He's been your confidant for so long. You've learned to trust him implicitly. So why don't you take a break and then start to learn to talk about the things that he can't help. Find out, when will this football career truly end? And because Tom's afraid of the confrontation with you, when you pin him down with, will you quit? Don't ask, will you quit this season? He's got both. You have an open ego. Neither one of you can really.
He's a generator. He can only answer yes or no questions.
Right. Neither one of you can keep a promise to save your life sometimes. You both got an open ego. That's not your shtick. You're both empowered as generators. Learn to ask yes, no questions. Do it as an experiment, Gisele. Ask some yes, no questions. Even if you guys aren't going to stay married and you are going to get divorced, start asking yes, no questions so you both can be the best parents you can be separate to these children. And that's what these two want anyways. There's no reason they couldn't have got together. He's got a gate 19 in his body graph. I talked about it a lot. It's in his incarnation cross off of the root center, and she's got that gate 49. There it is, 19 at the bottom for him. And she's got gate 49.
Yeah, right? I saw that.
An electromagnetic, another powerful electromagnetic to bring the tribe into focus and create the marriage bond. This is a genetic proclivity to basically create the principles that hold the union together. Start the union out on the right spot. At least keep it into some form of a union or not, according to a bunch of really good principles. She brings the clarity of those principles, Tom. Surrender to your wife's freaking principles. You dumb freaking lug nut. You're going to lose her. That's guy talk. I'm talking to Tom now. That's me talking to Tom. That's just straight up. If he could hear that, he'd be like, oh my God, he's calling it out just right. If you heard this, Tom, laugh. Just laugh for a second before you get, whatever, all the other stuff that doesn't matter. And Gisele, don't worry about him making him prove it. Ask yes, no questions. He feels good when you're around, remember? Well, learn how to get that feel good in a way that actually feels the rest of the way good. I'm calling out the fact that she's got an open spleen with plenty of activations. She sometimes doesn't feel safe, doesn't feel good, doesn't know, wants that feel good. Tom brought it in spades, nice and talented with a tantric rhythm. Oh boy, that was sexy for her in the beginning. She was loving up on him big time, and him back. It was a love affair like no other, I can imagine, or at least, having plenty of likeness to such a thing. And so, you like that feel good, Gisele. Start learning to ask questions. The thing is, you're sensitive enough to do that. Jennifer, you emotional people, if you get clear on something, you're able to do things with something called clarity that we unemotional people, we see it in you and you show it to us. We don't really quite have it the same way you do. So Gisele, you're on an emotional wave. You go up and down through hope and pain sometimes, and you learn to hate it and you think it's a problem. It's not. It's your chemistry. When you go down, realize you're coming back up to get clarity and become smarter and wiser. You never stay down on your wave. And it's a clarity, emotion building, emotional resilience building, wisdom place. Every time, that's where you get smarter, is when you go down and feel blue, period. And when you come up, you're always productive. If you can find a way to want to ask your husband yes, no questions and make him do the same of you, where you both don't have an expectation, you got to get rid of they both have the gate of expectation. So they're going to try to have it. And so you have to be aware. Oh my God, I have an expectation. So come in, surrender to the lack of expectation, surrender to yes, no response, and see that you struggle sometimes to say what's true and laugh at it. Because when it comes out as a response, then you'll know that's the truth. Maybe you'll still break up, but at least you'll know more. And that's my advice for these two lovely people. I love them.
Great job.
Yeah. I hope something means something to them when they, whatever. I want them to hear this, Jennifer. I really want them to hear this, by the way.
I know. I'm keeping my comments to myself.
Yeah. Too funny.
No, but yes, you said a couple key things that have made me think about some things when it comes to the two of them. And I know that they have been together for a long time and they have always protected their kids, and that is a key thing. So yeah,
I looked at a bunch of stuff. I didn't see a single woke comment, a single not woke comment. I saw no addressing of it. I went and sort of smattered at various things. None of it except standard.
She's Victoria's Secret's model, and he works for the NFL. That's two things that are enough for me.
Right. Oh, I get it.
So, but if we take that out of the equation, seeing them as a couple and two people, normal people, just like me and you. That's another thing. You. It's because I used to love Tom Brady. I was a New England Patriots fan. I have pictures to prove it and everything like that. I know that they've always been happy. They've always shown that they are a healthy couple. They had an admirable relationship. So it does look like a lot of it's just a misunderstanding and not fully understanding what's going on with their designs and how they're operating. So
I'm rooting for Tom this season. I hope he gets his 8th ring, and I pray this is his last season. 7th or 8th ring. It's insane.
Yes. Yeah, it is. Who knows?
Yep.
Who knows?
He's driven to not fail.
Well, hopefully, I won't say that because there's so many football fans out there, but who knows what will happen to the NFL?
Right. Oh yeah. Right. Who knows?
That all that situation will be resolved if the NFL goes away. So
Well, the NFL sort of ate itself up a little bit with all their COVID mandates and this and that. Not everyone wanted that stuff, guys. What are you doing? You're men. You're not supposed
It's
to be
not that
forcing that
it
stuff
started
on you.
way before that when they started bending the knee and brought politics into the NFL. And not to mention that most of their halftime shows, not most, all halftime shows are satanic rituals.
They get a little, yeah, you know what? And they've gotten worse and worse, I assume.
But
dude, that's the machine. That's the machine. The halftime is not the game. That's the machine.
but it is the before they started all this before I even had my spiritual awakening when what was it Kabernacki bent the knee and all this I remember
that.
Doesn't have anything to do with politics. That's not why people are watching you. Keep that shit out of it. If people are going to enjoy the game, let them enjoy the game. Your opinion is just your opinion.
I've got a different view on all that at this point, Jen.
I do too.
Yeah, I'm with you on that in spirit as it relates to the game. But after our recent constitutional studies, knowing what we know, the man's got a right to bend a knee.
Yeah, he does.
No,
does. However, when you dig deeper into why he bent the knee, then it's eye opening. So,
which is great.
That's another thing. He's he's paid.
Yeah,
they're paid. That's the difference.
That could be part of the work code. The work code could be don't bend your knee. And if the work code wanted to put that in place, they could. And that's a fireable offense or something like at any job, at any corporation. Sure, they could make. That's true. They don't.
That's not. Yes, but I'm digging deeper into who's paying them. They do certain. It's just like when somebody likes something, then everybody else likes them. Michael Jordan comes out with a new shoe. Everybody goes and gets the new shoe.
Right.
It's once they cross the threshold line of from college play to NFL, I question everything because are they promoting it for endorsements? Are they just doing this because it all becomes money? And that is a straight fact. When you get into historics watching football, every year there's a controversy. There's a player on there. There's somebody that, even Tom Brady's game, the football that was not blown up.
Oh, the deflated football, right.
Yeah.
Right.
Did he cheat? Did he not cheat? Then it goes into all the positive affirmations and ritual that they're, him and his wife are both performing behind the scenes. Like there's just a lot of stuff that goes in with it.
Were there any questions?
No, we don't have any comments tonight. Okay. So
yay. No
comments, no questions, but yeah, I think you did a great chart. I'm going to definitely make sure that they're tagged into this because, and for anybody who's viewing it, if you're in a relationship, Dan, again, is phenomenal on helping with this.
Let me talk you through it. You just saw what I did. If I had their attention in a sober moment, just any moment, suddenly they would have started to see. Just so you know, that's what we're here doing, everyone out there who sees this. We're doing this. There's nothing like it. Call it in. Let us help you fix it.
What are you doing? Describe this.
This reading for people, reading the charts, showing Mr. and Mrs., for instance, what's the scoop. As soon as when you're having an issue and you think it's getting bad enough to where you need help.
Yes, before you guys see any, or if you're on the borderline of going and seeing a counselor, getting marriage therapy or whatever it is, I highly recommend look into getting a human design reading on y'all's relationship. It will be absolutely just mind-blowing. It will be very beneficial to that. And then you can actually make a really good decision on whether or not y'all should stay together or not. And not only that, but, here at Human Design Advantage, we also have, stuff to help you along the way to handle the stress, effective communication, stuff like that. So definitely make sure you check us out. Do you have anything else you'd like to add before I wrap up the show?
Nope. I think we said enough, Miss Jen.
Yes. Great job again, Dan. I think you killed it.
Oh, next week. You want to commit to it?
Yeah, well, yes, because I already told Savannah. So go ahead and make the announcement. Who
All
are
right.
we doing next week?
Next week, we're doing Tulsi Gabbard. Miss Tulsi Gabbard just let herself loose from the Democratic Party, and she's been in fact, today she made enough big news so we could have done her tonight as well. But we'll get her next week. We'll have a week's worth of news cycle to see what's going on.
Yes, that. And then on Sunday's show, we're going to start with talking about the Head Center, correct?
Yep. We're going to go. What we did was all that time we spent on the Solarplex Center on our Sunday shows, our Sunday matinees at 2 p.m. next Sunday. We're going to move counterclockwise up to the ajna. And then after that, our next section down to the spleen. We're going to go around counterclockwise the awareness centers in our body graph to show how one is holding on to everything over all of time, wrecking it all. We got to quiet this bad boy down. Yes, to show what this is basically going to be, where one of the quintessential problems is inside of humanity. That's what we're going to be pointing out, because we spent so much time as a foundation on the solar plex at waking up what it's doing to us. Now we can start to see what the things we're holding on to that's stopping it from doing it correctly. You know, do me, baby, but do me correctly. as humans, 9-centered human beings here to commune and find the spirit of our love in a good direction.
Absolutely.
Amen.
That's going to be very interesting. So I'm super excited to be jumping into that on Sunday. Guys, if you don't know, our Sunday shows are 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 11 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. So I will post the link and information for that tomorrow. So make sure you tune in. And just to recap with everything that I said, in case you join the show later, if you haven't booked your session with Dan, make sure you do it. The link is down below, tinyurl.com at /HDA links, LINKS. And we also have the Creating the New Earth by Balancing the Divine Within retreat, 5-day retreat that's coming up at the end of this month on the 24th through the 28th. The information can be found at that link. And then also sign up for the mindfulness course that we have going on. We have some new things that will be coming to you November, so make sure you look at that. I'm in the process of building out a small monthly club to help you, with your maintenance, deconditioning, mindset, and how to really start living authentically within your design. So, as always, much love, and I hope you guys have a wonderful evening.
Thank you, John.
Thank you, Dan. Bye now.